Hello everyone, my name is Pawan Luthra. I'm here today with the cricket legend and Australian living treasure, Australian of the year 2004 and also an ICC's Cricket Hall of Fame inductee. He captained Australia in Test cricket 57 times, won 72% of his games. In One Day International, 106 times with an amazing record of 65% wins. But lately, rather than being in front of the camera, he's enjoying his position behind the lens. I have with me the cricket great Steve Waugh.
Thank you for that introduction.
Now he joins me to talk about his new book, The Spirit of Cricket, India, and of course Steve's love for cricket and things Indian. Welcome to Indian Link, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Now Steve, you were 21 in 1996 when you first toured India. A young man from the western suburbs in Sydney. What was it about India which first fascinated you? And if I might just lead on, if you knew then what you know now, how would you have approached India differently?
Yeah, back in 1986, that was the first time Australia had been to India for 10 years. So there was a huge gap between sides going to India. So I didn't know much about India. None of the players had been there before. So it was like landing on this mysterious planet almost, and that's pretty much what it was like. You know, getting to Bombay for the first time, getting out the aeroplane, and straight away there was a different smell about the place. Each country has a unique smell. India certainly has that. We collected our bags, got on the team bus, and went to the Taj Hotel in the centre of Bombay.
Do you recall what time was it? Was it late at night?
No, it was during the day, I think, in the morning, because I remember getting on the bus and just being amazed. All this traffic was zigzagging everywhere. No one stayed in the lanes. I think they're not staying in their lanes. Then no one stopped at the red lights. I think, well, this is interesting. It's different to Australia.
Right.
And then there's people just everywhere on the streets swarming around, and a variety of animals, cats and dogs and monkeys and all sorts of things going on. So it was like, where are we? This is like landing on another planet, literally. And then you see kids playing cricket in the alleyways, in the back streets, on the parks. It was just something going on everywhere. It was just a total assault of the senses.
So what was the first impression in your mind, 21-year-old Steve Waugh from Campsie, from the south of Sydney?
Yeah.
What really was going on at that time? You ever had a long flight?
I just, in my mind, this is chaos. What's going on here? How does this work? How does this all come together? It was just too much to take in.
And 34 years down the track, have you found
exactly the same? Yeah, chaos. Yeah, but it's a bit more organised these days. But
right.
I think that thing I found was just interesting, and I'm curious by nature, inquisitive,
right.
and I wanted to know what was going on out there. Like, how are these people earning a living? You know, why was it? What were they doing? They all seemed busy and hustling around, and there was just so much action and so many things to see that it was, as a total bombardment of my senses. Back in those days, I'd take my camera. I was one of the few players that had a camera. I generally sit up the front of the team bus, and I just wanted to see what was happening outside. And India always fascinated me.
Steve, just to circle back to my initial second question was, if you knew then what you know now, would you have done something differently in the initial days in India at that time?
No, I'm glad I didn't know much about India, because you keep an open mind. I think once you be closed in your thoughts, and so back then I was happy. I was very naive to it, because it was all coming in, and I was trying to make sense of it. I suppose now, looking back 34 years, I would say to myself, have an open mind. Don't be too judgmental, because our lifestyle was so different, and just because they lived it a certain way or a different way doesn't mean it was wrong or our way of living was right. So I think be open-minded to what you're seeing, and not be too closed in what you're thinking.
So what's the one thing you find constant in India even after going there for 34 years?
Well, the traffic, I think, is constant. I think people's love of cricket is very constant, and I just think the friendliness of the people, to me, that has always been the same, and people seem to be very gentle in India. Welcoming, particularly if you have a link to cricket, you straight away you've got that connection. So that's always remained a constant.
Right. Now let's talk about your new photography book, The Spirit of Cricket, India. It's a 220 image book with photographs from 18 days of travel in January. Now, when you conceived of this book, did you have a plan of what you expected or did you allow the moment to make its own plans?
Yeah, a bit of both really. I sort of had this in the back of my mind, this photography book, when I was playing cricket, but I could never get out of the bus. When you're an international player, hop off the bus, you're surrounded by 1,000 people, so it's impossible to go out and take the photographs. So I'd always had in my mind I wanted to get down the alleyways, the back streets, in the mountains and the desert and the beaches, and just see people playing cricket and take photographs. This time around it was sort of possible. I did have a security guard, but and we did plan ahead. There was certain places and things I wanted to see, but I also wanted to be able to sort of stop the team bus. We had 6 or 7 people in a group. Stop the bus when we saw a game of cricket on the side of the street, and go out, alight from the bus, and go out and take the photo, or just anything involved in cricket. Have the ability to be able to just stop and get in and have a look. So it was a combination of both. And I knew in India, if you have gaps in your schedule, they'll always get filled up because there's so many things to see and so many people you've met and so many friends. So I knew it was going to be busy, but we really were taking photographs from 6 in the morning, first light, because that's the first hour is the best hour, right through to the sunset, which is again an amazing hour. So it was really literally 12, 14 hours a day for 17 days taking photographs. And I took 20,000 shots when I got back to Australia. I thought, now what am I going to do with all these shots?
Right.
So it took me literally a couple of weeks to sort through the 20,000 shots to get to about 500. And as you said in the book, there's 220 of my favourite shots, and in the exhibition here, it's probably about 60 or 70 shots.
Was there any time you took consult from somebody else saying, look, I love now these 300, can you help me?
Definitely.
You did?
I had to, because it's like, they're all my favourites. I couldn't really get rid of any, and it was really hard to say, no, I can't, I want that one in the book as well. So someone had to come in and say, no, look, you've got to make a decision between these 2 or 3. And I was lucky in taking photographs. I took an amazing photographer with me, a guy called Trent Park. Who's the only Australian ever to be invited to the Magnum Photo Agency, which is a prestigious group in France, ex-cricketer. So he knew cricket, and he knew that I wanted to take my photography skills to the next level. So I was really on a crash course, photography course for 17 days.
Did you feel that you could capture the spirit of cricket better because you had actually played cricket at a professional level? Did that allow you to get into the mind and soul of whatever you were watching, even for 10 minutes, as compared to any other photographer?
Yeah, I think I definitely could have the intuition and gut feel, particularly watching cricketers on the Maidans. And I sort of knew that maybe this guy was going to get bowled in a minute, and I wanted to capture some of the stumps flying out of the ground with the dust everywhere. So I got that a number of times, remarkably. There were so many times I actually got the ball hitting the stumps and stumps going out of the ground, which is not easy to get. So intuition taking cricket photographs was definitely there. And it gave me a greater appreciation, sitting behind you, all these shots of the bat and ball cricket factory. And as a player, you take for granted you got really good bats and pads and gloves, and the balls, you don't know really where they come from, but all of a sudden you're seeing them handmade and hand-stitched. And for me, that gave me this sort of emotional connection to the work, and I really wanted to capture the precision of the tradesmen and what they were doing. So it definitely helped me in that regard.
Now, I also understand you were on a quest to find out why cricket is like a religion in India. Have you uncovered the truth?
I don't know whether there is a truth, but it's certainly a fact. Cricket means a lot to the people. I think it's because cricket's a very simple game, and I've described it as being all you need is imagination, energy, enthusiasm, and a bat and ball. That's all you need to do to play cricket, and that's the case in India. And you can find a bat and a ball anywhere. You can make the stumps up from bricks or fence palings or rocks or thongs or whatever is available, and you can have a game. And there's 800 million people live below the poverty line, but cricket brings them together. It gives them something to be proud of. It's something bigger than themselves, and they feel as if they're connected and a part of it. And I think that's why it's a religion in India, because it gives a lot of people hope, and it gives them happiness, and they feel proud to be associated with cricket.
Why are Indian cricketers treated like gods?
That's a good question. They're definitely elevated on a pedestal, and it's like they can't do any wrong. And I guess it's a bit like myself. I got an example of that, actually taking one of the photographs outside the Victoria Monument in Calcutta. There's a big open playing field. And I was taking lots of photos, and the army were doing these training exercises, and I don't know whether they were an elite band of army personnel, but they seemed like they know what they were doing. And all of a sudden, a guy came running towards me. He seemed pretty agitated, and he was yelling, "You can't take photographs here, we're training." And as soon as he got to within 6 foot, he realised it was me. As I'm very sorry. Can you please have a photograph with us? So instantly it changed from no photographs to please can we have a photo. So you are put on a pedestal, and rightly or wrongly, you have huge responsibility. People like Kohli and Tendulkar and people like this, they mean so much to the people, and thankfully they carry that mantle really well and represent the country amazingly.
Would you have been able to handle that kind of pressure if you were playing in India? As an Indian?
Yeah, I don't think you'd never be for sure, but I embraced pressure. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the leadership role. I played my best cricket. So some people gravitate towards that, other people don't want it. I don't think it's for everyone, but obviously someone like Tendulkar, Kohli, Gavaskar, Kapil Dev, they wanted it and they could handle it.
Now, no, it's like picking your favorite child, but can you share your top 3 photographs from the book and a brief story behind these?
It's very hard to do. I think the Taj photo is one I knew straight away when I had the concept of the book. I knew I had to get a picture of the Taj Mahal in the background, this iconic building, one of the wonders of the world with a game of cricket in front of it. That was a challenge because it was a 5-hour drive from Delhi, the hotel at Delhi, and the day we scheduled to see the Taj, we got there and it was fogged in.
Yes, north of India in January.
Well, no one told us that, so we got fogged in and we thought, okay, we'll wait. Didn't lift. So 10-hour trip, round trip, no photos of the Taj. I think, well, I've got to have a photo of the Taj. It's got to be on the front cover of the book. So next day I went back with Trent myself and we hired a car and we said, mate, can we please get there quick? So he thought he was in a Formula 1 race. He got there about an hour quicker this time.
Right.
Somehow survived it.
Right.
And we got the photo. So it was 18 hours of driving to get the photo of the Taj, which I think is worth it because it's an amazing shot. The one above your head there is I'm really proud of that one because that captures the precision of the ball makers hand stitching cricket balls, and they make 8 per day. And the guy who was making it, you see his hand is pretty weathered and pretty old. He was about 80 odd years of age. So I love that it's got the movement in one hand, but just shows the detail and precision in the other. So
character, integrity,
yeah,
something like the baggy
right.
greens which you
and pride in your work. I mean, they all seemed very proud of what they were doing, and it was like clockwork the way it worked in the factory. And there's another shot of down there of a young boy from an orphanage bowling, and the challenge for that was I wasn't allowed to take his image singularly. You couldn't have a single shot of his face, but I wanted to capture his speed and emotion. And I thought, in the back of my mind, I always love the shots of the cyclists at the Olympics where they're sort of blurred, but you can see the pace. So I wanted to get this young boy who's tall, long-limbed, get his beautiful action, but have it blurred so you couldn't see his face. So that was working with shutter speed and aperture and ISO, which is something I didn't know about before I went on the trip. Every shot was taken on the manual setting, and that took me about an hour to get that shot. Wow. And it worked out sort of perfectly. So probably the 3 that initially stand out, but I could tell you a story about every one of these photos.
Lovely.
Yeah.
But tell me the story about the one image which sticks with you, probably the one which you are not able to capture, the one which got away but stays in the human camera.
Yeah, well, no, I got them all.
You got them all?
Didn't miss any. But the one that sort of resonated with me was the physically challenged cricketers, and they're flying through there like ninja warriors, and I've never seen anything like that. They just leapt up in the air and missing part of a limb or having polio, and they use this big bamboo stick as a crutch, and one of them had it under his arm, so he landed on top of the crutch and like pole vaulted over and bowled the ball, and wow. I was just totally blown away by that. It was something out of this world, so I love that shot. The one that got away, that's a good question. I haven't really thought about that. I think I've got most of them, but there's obviously stuff I look back and go, geez, I wouldn't have minded taking it from a different angle, or did I capture everything I wanted to? From the bat and ball factory, there was, perhaps there was one image where you see them doing stuff with their hand like that, but there was another image of the guy doing another process with the ball, but he was doing his hands and he was sort of using his toes as well. So I would have loved to have got a close-up of this guy working with both his hands and his feet.
To pull the thread and
so
seam the ball.
Maybe that one now you're going to give me sleepless nights thinking about it.
I'm sure there's something left for the next trip there.
Yeah, definitely. There's plenty more
your
trips.
fame, I think you spoke about the time in Calcutta when there were security drills going around, but generally you would be one of the most recognized figures in the world of cricket. Did your fame help or hinder you?
A bit of both on this trip. It wasn't as fanatical as when I was playing cricket. But there obviously is that level of respect. I mean, I captained my country, went to India quite a few times. We've done the charity work, so yeah, people instantaneously recognise you and they want to get in close and get a selfie. There's no autographs anymore; it's all selfies.
Of course.
So that has changed. But I had a security guard with me the whole time. It was a local, fantastic guy, and he would often talk to them. I don't know what he said, but he managed to get them back. But it was pretty much he let them know I was here capturing this Spirit of Cricket photography book. Please just play normally, and then after we'll have a game of cricket. So everyone was happy. So they went about their business. I got my shots, and then of course we had a game of cricket afterwards.
Lovely, and you gave them lifelong memories.
Yeah, most of them were pretty good because they got me out. And they dominated me on most occasions. So I think I kept them very happy.
I think you were being too kind to them. But now you've also said that India has given you lifelong memories and life-changing moments. Can you share some of these with us?
I think the one that stands out obviously is meeting Mother Teresa on one of the trips, and lucky enough to meet her briefly at the Sisters of the Missionaries of Charity Mother House in Calcutta, and that really set me on a pathway of being involved in philanthropic activities. I wanted to do something in a small way that she'd done her whole life, helping people, and that opportunity came on the next trip to India at Udayan, and it's a rehabilitation centre for kids who either have leprosy or their parents have leprosy. And from that, the Steve Waugh Foundation really evolved in Australia, which I've been sort of heavily involved in for the last 16 or 17 years. So my philanthropic journey began really by meeting Mother Teresa.
Right. Any other life-changing experiences?
I think that's probably the most one. I mean, cricket-wise, I suppose, captaincy. I learned about my captaincy. Playing in India,
Challenges you?
Yeah, challenges. I mean, for instance, not winning a test match in Calcutta, that's a good learning experience. I learnt that you got to follow your gut instinct and intuition, and if it doesn't work out, that's okay. But as long as you commit to something and you believe in it, it doesn't always work the first time, but the next 8 times I enforce to follow and it works. So, for me, that was a good life lesson to just back yourself, and because it doesn't work one time, doesn't mean you're wrong.
Now, has your family joined you in your trips to India and their views?
My wife has been there once. My kids no, because when I was playing cricket, they were all at school, and it was just. And really, when you're playing international cricket, it's not really a time to bring your family along, because you're hotel, cricket ground, airport, and repeat the process. But one day, my kids are very keen to get back to go there and see what it's really like. They've seen all the photos. There'll be talk about it. So they want to experience it firsthand. A
post-COVID world. Now, Steve, India does different things to different people. In the 1990s, one cricketer became famous for his demands for baked beans, while another was recognized for his work for charity, especially helping with funding for leprosy children in Calcutta. Does India bring out the true essence of the individual?
That's a good question. You've obviously thought long and hard about these questions because they're good, they're challenging. I guess it does reveal a bit of your character. I always think in times of adversity, your true colours come out. When things are easy and going well, you can be nice to everyone and you don't really know the true person. But when you're challenged and you've got to dig deep, I think that's when your true colours come out. So perhaps that does happen in India because it's not easy a lot of the times. It's challenging and confronting and sometimes confusing, particularly if you're doing business over there. I think it does reveal a lot about you. It sort of peels back the layers.
How do you solve a challenge like India?
Patience and persistence is, and you got to build relationships. I think I've learned in business that you can't be successful if you're doing it via email or phone calls. You've got to be there in person, getting to know that person. They've got to get to know you. It takes time.
Listeners, my name is Pawan Luthra. I'm talking to the cricket legend Steve Waugh about his new book, The Spirit of Cricket, India. Steve, just pivoting away a little bit, what are your thoughts on contemporary cricket? What do you feel about the state of cricket at the moment, and is there too much cricket?
It's a difficult one, that I think there is a lot of cricket. It is a bit confusing for the average fan and spectator. A lot of times I don't even know who's in our T20 side or the one-day side. I know the test side, but those shorter forms of the game, teams tend to evolve quickly and change quickly, and there's conflicting tours where some players are away, some players are at home. I don't like that when you can't choose from your best players, when you're picking and choosing from the available players, but not all the players. There probably is too much cricket, but it's a big corporate machine now, a lot of money to be made. I fear that there's only 3 or 4 really good Test match playing countries, and you want it stronger than that. You want 8 or 10. I just hope that I know Australia and India will continue to get better and stronger, but we need countries like New Zealand and South Africa and Pakistan and Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe and Bangladesh. We need them all to get stronger as well. We want a healthy competition.
But how do we do this? I would say what COVID-19 has taught us is sponsorship is kind of drying up. The money is gonna get a little bit less. So will there be what flow-on effects do you see in elite cricket and grassroots level cricket?
Yeah, I think I'm worried about grassroots for sure. I mean,
so will it impact our ability to field good players in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I hope not. I think grassroots is a struggle in Australia and a lot of countries. I think India is the standout because they've got the finances and funds and really control world cricket. So I guess they have a bigger responsibility going forward to make sure that other countries don't fall too far behind, because you need healthy competition. Otherwise, you won't get crowds and you won't get sponsors. So, you know, it's great that India and Australia are doing well, but they've got to help the other countries. So big responsibility on those 2 nations. I think the captains have got play a huge role. They've got to just keep promoting Test cricket as a pinnacle, which I think Kohli does very well, and Tim Payne. That's important because young kids listen to that. While some money's there in 2020, Test cricket I think is still the true test of how well you're doing. So there are challenges ahead for sure, and there's lots of other sports and all these new sports like X sports, and there's so many different forms coming that are very popular on TV with young people. So cricket has its challenges. It's got to evolve and capture the young audience.
Steve, just to circle back, in your view, is there a danger of any form of cricket becoming extinct, and what will you do to save it?
Well, yeah, they keep saying one of the forms is going to be extinct, but then you have a World Cup in 50 overs and it becomes a huge event again. 2020 is massive. Test cricket. Now we've got 100 balls starting in England, so can we make 4 formats of the game survive? I don't know. I mean, there's got to be a breaking point at some stage. Right now we're juggling everything. I just hope Test cricket gets looked after, because that's the very essence of the game, and it's pure, and it tests players in every possible way. So you can't find out how good you are unless you play Test cricket as a player. I hope that's still a challenge that current players see, not so much the money first. But yeah, I just don't know how we're going to have 100 ball cricket as well, and that's 4 different games. No other sport has 4 different variations in it, so at some point there'll be too much.
India is on its way to Australia in November. Last time the 2 sides met, Australia did not have the services of Warner and Smith and lost the Test series. With both back, what do you expect in the summer of cricket?
A great contest. This is all cricket fans. This will be a Test series for the ages. I think we got legends of the game on both teams. I got Kohli and Smith, 2 of the all-time great players. Both amazing bowling attacks. I think India's got the best bowling attack in Indian conditions. I think Australia's got the best bowling attack in Australian conditions. That may be giving us a slight advantage. Kohli, of course, is not obsessed, but he's very driven to win away from home, which is great. I just think this is going to be an outstanding series, and it'll be very close. And it may come down to the fact that whichever side fields or catches the best will win the series.
And we're just about to finish our discussion, but before I let Steve go, I thought we'll do a quick rapid fire round in which there can be simple answers, and I think Steve will have no problem with these at all.
Yes.
Steve, 10 questions, rapid fire.
Okay.
How many times have you been to India?
40 odd.
A place which you always try to go to when you're in India?
Udayan in Calcutta, the rehabilitation centre I've supported.
Baked beans, butter chicken or bhindi?
Bindi.
How often do you eat bhindi?
Every time I go to an Indian restaurant, pretty much, yeah.
Any food, any Indian dish you have learnt to cook?
Look, I cook basic curries at home, so...
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So, but I love fish curries. That's my favourite, yeah.
And you can cook it at home?
Not to the standard probably most people who are watching this would be used to, but I could cook it, yeah.
I believe the Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison loves cooking his curries. Should we have a cook-off curry competition between ScoMo and yourself?
Well, we could, I suppose, but I'm not sure how successful it would be.
Your admiration for Mother Teresa is well known. 2 other Indian personalities which fascinate you?
That's interesting. I think person. I think Rahul Dravid is someone I think is an amazing person, and he's low key and humble. So I think he's quite incredible. Another personality, I'm just trying to think. I think Mukesh Ambani. Just like to know how he's been so successful and how he's got so big, and he has a great influence over the people, and he can make a difference in people's lives.
Have you interacted with him?
Yes, I've met him a couple of times. Yeah.
Now, Brett Lee has acted in a Bollywood movie. Have you ever been approached for a role?
I have. Yes.
Tell us about it.
Oh, look, it was a pretty quick no because I know my limitations. I mean, photography, I'm putting myself out there a little bit. Acting is probably one step too far.
Was it as a cricket? I'm intrigued.
I can't remember, but I didn't even. I don't think I've ever listened to the script. I said no, thanks. Go to Brett Lee. He's better. He's better than me.
While on this topic, any Bollywood movie you have seen?
I don't know this Bollywood movie, but I love Slumdog Millionaire, and I thought Lion was a fantastic movie as well. It's an Australian movie, but I really enjoyed those two. So maybe they're not traditional Bollywood movies, but I like the stories.
The Indian link.
The Indian stories, yeah.
Steve, in your mind, in which one of these two instances does your heart beat faster? Facing Curtly Ambrose on a bouncy pitch in Trinidad, or that moment when you check your camera to see if you got that perfect photo?
I think it beats faster when you check your camera and say, have I recharged my battery and have I got my SIM card in there? So yeah, I think probably Curtly Ambrose, because with photography it's not you're not going to get injured. Facing Curtly Ambrose, you could get phically hurt. So I'd say Curtly Ambrose.
Fair enough. Do you know any bit of an Indian language? Any words you know?
The basics, Dhanyavad, always, Namaskar, Namaste. It's always nice when you meet people, and that straight away it brings a smile to the face, and you break down that barrier of different languages.
And Steve, the last question: why should India be on everybody's bucket list?
I think it's just unique. It's like no other place. You're never bored. There's always something going on. The people are friendly. The food is good. Different landscapes. It's just an assault on your sense. It makes you feel alive.
Steve Waugh, thank you very much for all your contributions to the world of cricket, and now what you're doing behind the lens to share your photographs with the rest of the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.